Hi, I'm Curly Chloe Virgin, the leader of Group 2. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, is an international organization made up of 34 member countries. This includes 21 of the 28 European Union member states, as well as Mexico, Australia, Canada, Israel, South Korea, Turkey, and the United States of America. In 1948, the Organization for European Economic Cooperation (OEEC) was founded in order to implement the Marshall Plan. The Marshall Plan was an aid program initiated by the United States of America. The aim of the plan was to help to rebuild the economies of Western European countries following the end of the Second World War. The OEEC was renamed OECD in 1961. It continued to focus on stimulating economic progress and facilitating world trade. The OECD also began to accept non-European states as members. In 1989, the OECD began to help countries in Central and Eastern Europe to prepare for major market economy reforms after the collapse of the communist rule. Nowadays, the OECD is best known for publishing statistics on a wide range of topics. OECD also publishes books, reports, working papers, and reference materials. The organization examines data on issues such as economic output, income inequality, perception of corruption, freedom of the press, and democratic freedom. There are some who believe that the OECD has not been a force for good. The main purpose of the OECD is to improve the global economy and promote world trade. It provides an outlet for the government of the different countries to work together to find solutions to common problems. It includes working with democratic nations that share a commitment to improving the economy and well-being of the general population. The mission of the OECD is to promote policies that will improve the economic and social welfare of people in developed nations. The main focus of OECD is to help governments around the world to improve confidence in markets and the institutions that help them function, to obtain healthy public finances to achieve future sustainable economic growth, to achieve growth through innovations, environmentally friendly strategies, and the sustainability of the developing economies, and to provide resources for people to develop the skills they need to be productive. Though we see dysfunction, though we see this uses information various topics to fight poverty, help governments prosper, and prevent financial stability. The organization monitors the economy's members and non-members nations, and the Secretariat collects and analyzes information or different aspects of society. Next, the organization is structured in three tiers: the Council, the Secretariat, and the Committees. 1. The Council. The Council consists of ambassadors from the members' nation. They exercise authority over decision making and establishing goals for the organization. They are in charge of the strategic direction of the OECD. 2. The Secretariat. The second tier is the Secretary General, the Deputy, and the Directorates. The current OECD Secretary General is Jose Angel Guerra, a Mexican economist and diplomat. The Secretariat lists 2,500 members and includes economists, scientists, and lawyers who are in charge of the collection of data, research, and analysis. Lastly, the committees. The third tier is the committees, which include representatives from different member nations that meet to discuss the environment, education, trade, and investment.
The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, is an international organization of 40 nations as of the priorities of aiding an economic cartel, whose mission is to coordinate the policies of the oil-producing countries. The goal is to secure a steady income to the member states and to collude in influencing world oil prices through economic. The headquarters is located in Vienna, Australia, formed by Banghad Conference on September 10 to 14, 1960. Yeah. The oil and gas sector is the backbone of the economy, accounting for the 20% of the gross domestic product and 85% of total export. Algeria's other natural resources are iron ore, phosphates, uranium, and lead. Algeria joined on OPEC in 1969. Angola. Angola's impressive economic growth rate is being driven by its oil sector. Oil production and its supporting activities contribute about 50% of gross domestic products and around 89% of total exports. Angola joined OPEC in 2007. Iran, apart from petroleum, other natural resources include natural gas, coal, chromium, copper, iron ore, lead, manganese, zinc, and sulfur. Iran joined OPEC in 1960, and apart from petroleum, other natural resources include natural gas, phosphates, and sulfur. Its national currency is the dinar. Iraq has a varied landscape, which includes areas of desert, mountains, and fertile regions. Iraq joined OPEC in 1960. Kuwait. Kuwait has a prosperous economy. Oil and gas sector accounts for 40% of gross domestic product and about 20% of export. Kuwait joined OPEC in 1960. Libya. Apart from petroleum, other natural resources are natural gas and ginseng. Its economy depends primarily on the oil sector, which represents about 60% of export earnings. Moreover, the oil and gas sector accounts for about 60% of total gross domestic product. Substantial revenues from energy sector coupled with a small population, give Libya one of the highest per capita gross domestic product in Africa. Libya joined OPEC in 1962. Nigeria, apart from petroleum, other natural resources include natural gas, tin, iron ore, coal, limestone, niobium, lead, zinc, and arable land. The oil and gas sector accounts for 10% of gross domestic product, and petroleum exports revenue represents around 86% of total exports. Nigeria joined OPEC in 1971. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia possesses around 17% of the world's proven petroleum reserves. The oil and gas sector accounts for 50% of gross domestic products and about 70% of export earnings. Apart from petroleum, other natural resources include natural gas, iron ore, gold, and copper. Saudi Arabia joined OPEC in 1960. United Arab Emirates, about 30% of the country gross domestic product is directly based on the oil and gas output. Since the discovery of oil in UAE, the country has become a modern state with a high standard of living. Saudi Arabia joined OPEC in 1967. Venezuela. Venezuela's oil revenues account for about 99% of exports earnings. Apart from petroleum, natural resources include natural gas, iron ore, gold, bauxite, diamonds, and other minerals. Venezuela joined OPEC in 1960. Why Ecuador leave OPEC? Ecuador, one of the smallest OPEC members, left the group because it seeks to increase revenue from crude oil sales. Why Qatar leave OPEC? Left OPEC on January 2019 after joining the organization in 1961 to focus on natural gas production, of which it is the world's largest exporter in the form liquid natural gas.
The OPEC mission is to coordinate and unify the petroleum policies of its member countries and ensure the stabilization of oil markets in secure and efficient and regular supply of petroleum to consumers. OPEC objective is ordered to secure fair prices of petroleum to produce an efficient, economic, and regular supply of petroleum to consuming nations. OPEC function, selling high-grade oil at the price of low-grade oil, crediting for the transportation cost. The OPEC role in the 21st century to ensure price stability in the world oil market. What is European Union? The European Union is unique economic and political partnership between 27 countries like Belgium, France, Italy, Germany, etc. According to European Union, their purpose is to promote peace, establish a unified economic to combat discrimination, encourage technological and scientific development, and to promote a goal like a global market and social progress.
EU symbols. The EU symbols is recognizable by several symbols. The most well-being known is a circle of a yellow stars in a blue background, the European flag, the European anthem, the Europe Day, and the EU motto. The European flag symbolizes both European Union and identity and unity of Europe. In the flag of the Europe, they have 12 gold stars in a blue background. It stands for ideals, solidarity, harmony, and unity of the people in Europe. In the year 1955, the European Council defends human rights and promotes European cultures. Choose the present of choose the present for its own use. Next is the European anthem. The European anthem is Ode to Joy composed by Beethoven in the year 1823. The titles the title stands for Sense and Wider of the Europe, and in the year 1972, Ode to Joy was officially adopted as their anthem. The title expressed the freedom and solidarity of Europe. The Europe Day. The Europe Day, celebrated on May 9 every year, symbolizes the peace and unity of Europe. The the date marked anniversary history of its common declaration. They celebrate Europe Day through visit, debates, events, and other events to remark the day. Nowadays, the Europe celebrate the Europe Day through online activities. Next is the EU motto. The EU motto is United in Diversity, meaning work together for peace and prosperity. The European Union first used in 2000 signifies how have Europe come together to form EU. It is translate 24 language of EU. Next is the European Union mission in the 21st century is maintain and build on the peace established between its member states and bring European countries to critical cooperation. Ensure that European citizens can live in security. If your country is part of European Union, that means your country has many advantages like membership in community stability, democracy, security, and prosperity.
counter will growing internal market and domestic demand, and last is free movement of labor, goods, services, and capital. And also, the EU mission is promote the peace, values, and well-being of their citizens, offer freedom, security, justice without internal borders, sustainable um, um, development based on their balanced economy, growth, and price stability. A highly competitor market with a full wait with a with a full employment and process and social progress and environmental protection.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Esteban. My topic is all about the origins of EU. First, let us know what is the meaning of EU. EU is economic and political partnership between 27 European countries. They have 500 million people in 27 countries. The 12 star in their flag symbolize harmony, unity, and solidarity. Their mission is to have a peace and ensure that European citizen is in a security, promote economic and social solidarity. The six founding states who joined the European Union are Paris, Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, and West Germany. Now let us proceed to the founder of European Union. The first one is Konrad Adenauer. His real name is Konrad Hermann Joseph Adenauer. He was born way back January 5, 1876. He was died way back April 19, 1967. The second one is Robert Schumann. His real name is Jean-Baptiste Nicolas Robert Schumann. He was born way back June 29, 1886. He was died way back September 4, 1963. Schumann was a Christian Democrat, popular thinker, and activist. His parents are Jean-Pierre Schumann and Eugenie Duren. The third one is Winston Churchill. His real name is Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. He was born way back November 30, 1874. He died way back January 24, 1965. His wife's name is Clementine Churchill. He was way back an army officer, writer, Prime Minister of United Kingdom way back 1940 to 1945. The next one is Jean Monnet. His real name is Jean Omer Marie Colonel Monnet. He was born way back November 9, 1988 and died way back March 16, 1979. His daughter's name is Marianne Monnet, while his wife's name is Sylvia de Bondini. He was entrepreneur, diplomat, financier, administrator, and political visionary. He was also considered as a founding father of European Union. The last one is Alcide de Gasperi. His real name is Alcide Amadeo Francesco de Gasperi. He was born way back April 3, 1881. He was died way back August 19, 1954. His wife's name is Francesca Romani, while his daughter's name is Maria Romana and Paula. He was the Prime Minister of Italy in 8 successive coalitions, a government from 1945 to 1953.
What is NAFTA? North American Free Trade is an agreement by the government of Canada, Mexico, and the United States, which create a trilateral bloc trade on North America. The agreement came into force on January 1, 1994. NAFTA was also sought to eliminate by the non-tariffs. and it removed the taxes by the government, and it protects the intellectual property rights of the product. Features of NAFTA include the elimination of the tariffs on imports and exports between the Canada, Mexico, and the United States. NAFTA immediately lifted tariffs on the majority of goods produced by the signatory nation. It also calls for the gradual elimination over the period of 15 years of most remaining barriers to cross-border investment and to the movement of goods services among the three countries. President Donald Trump campaigned on the promise repeat to NAFTA and the other trade agreement. He deemed unfair to the U.S. on August 27, 2018. He announced a new trade deal with Mexico to replace it. So let's talk about the NAFTA pros. NAFTA pros remove any tariffs but other barrier to trade between the US, Mexico, and Canada. Since then, trade between the three countries has increased several times over. But not everyone has celebrated this development. Let's take a look at the pros of NAFTA. The first is good services at a lower cost. Advocates of free trade generally point to lower prices for consumer goods as one of the main benefits that lower tariffs can bring to U.S. citizens. The average American has profited from lower prices as a result of NAFTA, say defenders of the agreement. The second is most underdeveloped countries gain the most. Example, standard of trade increase. The country of Mexico has factories that the lower and raise her standard due to the tariffs of Canada and the United States because they export their products between the two countries. The third is tariff reduce. Reduce the tariffs it imposes on its imports. Tariffs are considered economically inefficient because they make import less competitive than goods made domestically, which can result in more expensive products for consumers. The fourth is job created. Certain sectors of the U.S. economy lost out as a result of NAFTA, but other sectors got a boost. According to the CFR, nearly 200,000 export-related jobs are created annually. Those jobs pay between the 15 to 20% more than the manufacturing jobs that movement of the US post NAFTA. And the last is Mexico economic is growing pain. Mexico lost nearly 1.3 million farm jobs. The 2002 Farm Bill subsidized U.S. agribusiness by as much as 40% of net farm income. NAFTA removed trade tariffs. Companies exported corn and other grain to Mexico below cost.
What is NAFTA? The NAFTA is the North American Free Trade Agreement, created the world's largest free trade area covering the United States, Mexico, and Canada. In 2017, its member of economies generated approximately $22.2 trillion in gross domestic products. NAFTA is also controversial. Politicians don't agree on the free trade agreement because of the advantages and disadvantages. Here are they so you can decide for yourself. NAFTA has a disadvantages, also like the loss of jobs across the Mexico and United States. According to a study, roughly 500,000 people lost their job, especially in the field of manufacturing industries. Aside from this, NAFTA also forced Mexican farmers unemployed due to subsidized farm products from the US government. It's almost 1.3 million Mexican farmers were forced to cross border to find jobs. The US government degraded the environment in Mexico to keep the prices low. They used more chemical and fertilizer, which led to more pollution. Traffic also was a big problem because of NAFTA. Due to trades and transactions between countries, the borders have been congested. It's also they have expectation and goals. But despite all of this, NAFTA has a lot of good effect, like in Mexico. It caused the inflation rate and foreign debt to go down. It also creates more jobs for Mexicans so they don't have to go abroad and work illegally. It also has a big impact on the US. It will give a larger scope of trading relations and create more jobs and freer market. So this is the NAFTACON's expectation and goals.
Hi guys, my topic is all about impact on environment. The North American Free Trade Agreement or NAFTA has been raised and criticized as the greenest trade agreement around. 1. In fact, the preamble to NAFTA states that the primary purpose of the agreement is to contribute or harmonious development and expansion of the world trade in a manner consistent with environmental protection and conservation, promote sustainable development and strengthen and development and enforcement and environmental laws and regulations. Mid-continent international trade corridor, trade pattern, mid-continent trade and transportation corridor. Manitoba's position at the key of part of North America makes it key part of the mid-continent cutting Canada to a central North American market to 100 people. Rail links to the United States with a connection allowing shipping through and out North America. Rail yards able to handle over 5,500 cars per day and intermodal terminals with capacity to process more than 200,000 containers per year. An estimated 1,004 hydromotor carriers that operate interprovincially or international with two of Canada's 10 largest employers in the for-high tracking. Headquartered here of the average about 900 trucks cross the Manitoba's border every day. A conveniently located 24-hour international airport that serves as an important overnight cargo. Top for the FedEx Relay Port of a UPS and Cargojet Airlines, the international. Number two, a system of connecting highways and railroads. Example, again highway network, the Asian Highway Network or AH, also known as the Great Asian Highway Cooperative Project among countries in Asia and Europe and the United States. Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific case to improve the highway spread in Asia. It is one of the three pillars of the Asian land trade infrastructure development. ALTED project endorsed by the SK Commission on its 48th season in 1992 comprising Asian Highway, Trans-Asian Railway or TAR, and facilitation of land transport projects. Number three, an opportunity to strengthen economic development in the region. The Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI or BNR, formerly known as One Belt and Road, Chinese, or ABOR for short, is Global Infrastructure Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI or BNR, formerly known as One Belt, One Road, or Chinese, or ABOR for short, is a global infrastructure development strategy adopted by the Chinese government by the in the 2013 to invest nearly 70 countries and international organizations. It is considered a central piece of community's party of China.
Let's talk about the history of market integration. Findlay and Oroki 2007 said that Asia and Europe had been trading at least since the times of Roman Empire. But the early modern era featured a massive leap forward. Between the 1510s and the 1780s, spice exports to Europe grew at 1.1% yearly. That is 25 times over the whole period, said by DeVries 2010. This price dynamics implied few benefits to European consumers and the Asian producers. Most gains went to the shareholders of the Western trading companies, such as the Verenigde Oost-Indische Company of the Dutch East Indies, nowadays called Indonesia, and the East India Company for India, which ruled the Asian countries and monopolized trade. The situation changed dramatically in the early 19th century. The monopolies were slowly dismantled and China and later Japan were opened up to Western traders. The economy experienced a massive leap forward in international market integration and the creation of a truly world economy. The railroad, locomotive, and the marine steam engine had largely replaced the sailing vessels for transport within Asia as well as to Western traders from 1830s onwards. This connected the ports in the world and the railroads ran inland, creating a new and faster way of transport network. Cost rates fall sharply and the transfer of information was greatly accelerated by the introduction of telegraph. Telegraph systems were established in most countries, including the major market of British India, until 1854. These existing domestic telegraphs were connected by marine cables in 1856. The resulting international information system was crucial in communicating the detail of price and price movements, reducing the cost of making deals and transactions. There was also a significant change in the 1869 with the opening of the Suez Canal, which linked the Mediterranean Sea by the way of Egypt to the Red Sea. This greatly lowers the cost of sea transportation. Yet the low efficiency of the steam engines meant that the bulk goods such as wheat and rice were still carried by the sailing ships to Europe from Asia by the way of Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. But the development of steel hulls and steel masts made sailing ships larger and more efficient. These developments enabled the transport and lowered the cost of bulk goods. In 1970s, these developments were further developed into triple expansion engine, which finally removed the sailing ships from transportation in the ocean. Exports from Asian countries boomed throughout the 19th century and the early 20th century, and the share of European imports increased. The Philippines was taking part in this process ever since the country joined the World Trade Organization in 1995. This made massive changes like creating more jobs. Filipino entrepreneurs and foreign firms were popping up in the country in order to help the country's developing economy. After this was pretty much what we experienced. Internet, airplanes, cargo ships. Next slide, please. Why people integrate their firms or why economy has market integration? Well, the aim by doing this is to improve the security of supply, remove transaction costs, and foster competition. Coles and all have defined market integration as a process by which refers to the expansion of firms by consolidating additional marketing functions and activities under a single management. We have two different degrees of integration. First is ownership integration. This occurs when all decisions and assets of a firm are completely assumed by by another firm. Example of this was Jollibee buying a chicken processing firm. The last one is contract integration. This involves the agreement between two firms on certain decisions, while each firm retains its separate identity. The example of this was Globe and PLDT partnering to buy San Miguel Corporation's telco assets. Next slide, please. Next, we have the types of market integration. We have three of these, and I will explain them to you. What is horizontal integration? Horizontal integration is the acquisition of a business operating in the same industry. This creates economies of scale, increased market power over distributors and suppliers, increased product differentiation, and helps businesses um, expand their market or enter new markets. Horizontal integration reduces competition and might also lower the product price because of the merger of the firms. And this reduces the marketing and the product development cost per product. Examples of horizontal integration in the Philippines. Universal Robina Corporation, founded by Tycoon John Gongwei, sold the rights to manufacture and distribute Hans products last 2017 to Century Pacific Foods Corporation, the maker of Century Tuna and Argentina corned beef. State-run Land Bank of the Philippines acquired Philippine Postal Savings Bank in 2017 and spins it off into a lender for overseas Filipino workers, which is now called Overseas Filipino Bank. PLDT and Globe bought San Miguel Corporation's telecommunications asset for 69.1 billion pesos on May 30, 2016, effectively stopping the entry of the third player in the internet service provider industry. Jollibee Foods Corporation acquired 70% stakes or stocks of the barbecue fast food chain operator Mang Inasal in 2010 as part of its continuing efforts to beef up its business portfolio. Next, we have the vertical integration. Vertical integration is where firms expand into upstream activities, which refers to the material inputs needed for production, or downstream activities, where products get produced and distributed. The company owns or controls its suppliers, distributors, or retail locations to control its supply or value chain. This increases the competitiveness by getting the product directly and quickly to the consumers. It also reduces supply disruptions from suppliers that may fall into financial hardships. Vertical integration benefits companies by allowing them to control the process, reduce costs, and improve efficiencies. However, vertical integration has disadvantages too, like its requirement of massive investment capital. Examples of vertical integration in the Philippines. SM Investment Corporation acquired 34.5% stock or stake in Togo in 2017 for its first foray into the fast-growing logistics business. The next one is the Ayala Group acquired nearly half of the online retailer Zalora on February 2017 as it expands into e-commerce. We have the last one, which is conglomeration. What is conglomeration? Conglomeration describes the process by which conglomerate is created and when a parent company acquired its subsidiaries. In simpler terms, a conglomerate is a company which owns many other companies which operate in entirely different businesses. This provides a way or two for companies to diversify into other lines of business and often results in a new company that is multinational and or multi-industry. Examples of conglomeration in the Philippines. Ayala Corporation. This corporation owns Ayala Land, BPI, Globe, and Manila Water Company. SM Investments Corporation is the owner of SM, BDO, and Togo. Jollibee Foods Corporation owns Chowking, Mang Inasal, Greenwich Pizza, and Red Ribbon. Lopez Holdings Corporation, the owner of ABS-CBN, which is now closed, and the Meralco, the major distributor of electricity in Manila. San Miguel Corporation owns San Miguel Brewery, Petron Corporation, the gas. San Miguel Food and Beverage, Ginebra, San Miguel, the Micarf Gin, and then the Magnolia. Again, we talk about the history of market integration, the transition from sailing ships to steam engines, and then the introduction of telegraph, and then the opening of Suez Canal. We also talk about the different degrees of integration. Lastly, we talk about the different types of market integration, namely horizontal, vertical, and conglomeration. I am John Miguel Tolentino. Thank you for listening.